Hey, this is Robert here again at Goozy Fabrication. Now, outside of Dallas today, well, it's a little wet, but inside, for my DIY guys and gals out there, we're going to show you how to cut, fit, prep, weld, and install a complete quarter panel. Let's get into it. Hey, you can help support the channel. The online store is now open. Consumables, tools, supplies, everything you see me use in the videos, they're available in the online store. The link is in the description. Hey, we are just going to jump right in the middle of this quarter panel installation. I have the quarter panel already cut off. We did a rough cut, but we still have this remnant of the old quarter panel. I'm going to show you how to get that off fast and easy and cleanly so we can get this new replacement quarter panel mocked up into place, and then we're going to get it attached. Now, this 1/16 cutoff wheel really makes short, quick work of doing just that. And now we're still going to have to deal with our flange. Now, this is the quarter panel flange to the filler panel flange. They're still tight together with all of those resistance welds from the factory. If we tried to drill each one of those out, yeah, it's going to be a big mess. So this is my preferred method. Not for everybody, but if you work slowly and accurately, I have a video that shows how to separate 18 gauge from 18 gauge sheet metal. We can separate both of these panels with a special chisel bit. A little bit of practice, yeah, you'll never go back to drilling out spot welds again. And we've got that licked. There's a little bit of the remnant underneath. We're going to deal with that. That'll stop the new quarter panel from sliding into place. After using the air hammer, that's what we have left. You can see there's not a lot of damage. It's a usable flange. We're going to use the manual hole punch some plug well holes. Now, I've seen a lot of people, they'll just put tack welds or weld on the top side on each corner. Well, we're going to do this from the inside. We're going to attach this weld from the inside, do it correctly, because we don't want any kind of flexing in that area. And anytime there's bare steel and we're going to put two mating surfaces together, we always use a weld-through primer. Okay, let's get this quarter panel prepped. And we are going to be using the manual hole punch again. And we're going to set this thing up for plug welding. Now, the plug welding, we can mimic the factory resistance welds, because we use a resistance welder, but we don't have the correct type like they did in a factory to attach quarter panels at the very front. Okay, we're going to get that set into place. Start the alignment process. And we never want to just start welding. My preferred method is using self-tapping screws with a large head on those. That's going to allow us to put this panel into place, and if we need to move it, all we have to do is remove the screw, realign, readjust. We can get that thing with perfect gaps. Okay, so we have the leading edge of the door jamb affixed. That's where you want to start. And now we're going to go underneath, prep, and put some more plug well holes. And the reason we didn't do it off of the car, well, on these surfaces, you can be in too far or not enough, and you don't want to put the hole in the wrong place. So it's easier and a good idea to do it on the vehicle. Now we're going to get this thing sandwiched into place, keep it from moving, install a few self-tapping screws. You don't have to go crazy with the self-tapping screws. I like to put them, stagger them every other one in between the plug well holes. Everything's looking good. And here's a shot of that. We've got our alignment exactly where we want it. Everything's nice and tight. The flange to flange. Now we start our welding. And if we have our machine set right, now one step that I didn't show, we have a little spot blaster, a vacuum spot blaster that we use to prep that area. We already have the weld through primer on the door jamb, and we have the EDP coat on the inside flange of the quarter panel. But I've shown that little spot blaster in other videos. There's no better way to prep for welding than that. If we have our machine set right, the fit up perfect, we can get really flat welds. And now we're just going back. And what is really important here, you don't want to remove too much of the material, the metal, or else you're going to be in a big problem. That's going to make the metal weak. It's going to crack. Yeah, you don't want that on an edge. And here we're just kind of leapfrogging the clamps, keeping everything really nice and tight because we don't want any gaps in between those panels. And we always want to do the best job that we can, you know? Usually the distance between doing something really nice and just kind of half baked usually isn't that far. Just a little bit of extra time will pay off huge in the finish out. And if something starts going left or not quite the way you want, hey, stop, address it, fix it. Okay, we're just going to barely knock off the tops of those plug wells. And you note the angle that I'm doing it at and the 3-inch grinding disc I'm using. We don't want to gouge a bunch of that metal using just a flat sanding disc or something like that. The less damage you put into a panel, well, the less amount that you have to prep and get everything perfect for your finish out. We don't want to go below flush. We want to be really accurate with the grinding. This is step one. Then we can come back and carefully start blending in. Sometimes it's a challenge, but you want to keep this 3-inch Rolox disc as flat as possible. You don't want to tilt it on an angle because that's where you start gouging in the metal. And I always like to shoot for metal finish without a lot of body filler. Now, if you have to use a little bit of body filler, that's not an issue. If used correctly, it's fine. But we like the metal finish and just use primer. Okay, so this is a flap wheel, and this is an awesome way to finish out. And like I mentioned before, you always want to keep in mind, don't remove too much material because we're working with 18 to 20 gauge. It doesn't take a lot to burn through that. And yeah, then you've got real problems. And if we do this correctly, we're just going to see the faint outline of the plug weld, and that is going to mimic the factory resistance weld. And that's going to make it harder. Like if somebody comes and takes a look at it or whatever, it's going to be a lot harder for them to realize any work has been accomplished. And that's what we want to shoot for. Now, this is sandable filler primer, and I'm only putting enough on there so that the bare steel doesn't start to rust. This is going to be sanded off. I get a lot of questions all the time. It's like, hey, you shouldn't use that. Well, I'm not going to mix up regular urethane primer or whatever type of primer I'm using. I'm just going to put enough on there with a spray can. We still have to prep the body and everything for the top coat primer. This isn't a big deal, but make sure if you do use a spray can primer that it is a high quality sandable primer or you're going to be in big trouble. Okay, now we're just moving down to the bottom flange where it attaches to the inner rocker. Our quarter panel's taking shape, man. Everything's going our way. And especially if you're doing this at home for yourself, this isn't a race. Take your time, make sure all the panels, you can see the transition between the rocker and the lower part of the quarter on the bottom. We have a really nice parallel uh, setup there, flange. I've seen a lot of times where that's like kind of stepped, and just because nobody's going to really look at the bottom of the car, people will let it go. Hey, we want to do our best. And I didn't say it before, but personal protective equipment, PPE. If you get hurt, well, your project doesn't matter now. So always protect yourself. And we've got that flap disc again, or flap wheel. Now this is a little 3-inch orbital, and it's a dual action sander. I have probably 180 on that, and that makes it blend in really nicely after all of the grinding and the flap wheel is finished. And we're just prepping this area. We never want to shoot any type of primer on without prepping the area. Finishing it out in Scotch Brite. Yeah, there's a little bit better shot of the little 3-inch dual action sander. And just like painting, we always want to go just a little bit past where we're going to put the primer. And and let me say it again, the primer is just to hold it, keep it from rusting. It's a very light coat. 'Cause I don't know where you're watching from, but man, in Texas in the summer, if it's a rainy season, it'll be rusted by the end of the day. Okay, so here's where we're at. I'm really happy with the panel relationship down the side. The lines are aligned, body lines, and down the side looks really good. We're going to come back now, that radius, we're going to come back and do a little bit of work on that radius on the gap. But other than that, this thing is looking really, really good. Hey, we can use that. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, leave some comments, and as always, thank you for watching.